my God, this has been a while, hasn't it, for us? This feels very strange.
Yeah. You saw us last week, but actually it's been 7 weeks.
It's been 7 weeks since we filmed anything. So we're a little bit rusty, so we're going to keep this as short as possible because none of this feels normal. Absolutely none of this feels normal, holding a camera up right now and speaking into it. I don't like it. It feels really strange. So yeah, let's just cut this. How do we explain this very quickly? It's probably been a week since you've seen us last in a video. It might have been 2, we might have missed a week somewhere along the lines, but last time we saw you we were somewhere, I think in Yorkshire, and then we headed off to work. It was supposed to be 5 weeks. It ended up being 6 weeks of work, and then we had a week where we went to see my mum and caught up with a few people down in Kent. So here we are, it's now September, we're back up to real time almost. So obviously if you're a bit confused, we have explained this before, but the videos you saw we filmed in advance so that there was always something released while we were at work. And now here we are. So for us, this feels like a long time, doesn't it? So yeah, this is going to take a while to get back into it. How are you feeling, Steve?
Yep, I'm all right. I'm ready to go and explore.
But over the summer period that we've been working, well, August, how we kind of, there's a few little changes, aren't there, Stephen, that have gone on with us, I think. We've looked after our health a lot more. Stephen has lost loads of weight, which is really good, and you're doing really well after the hospital incident from a while back, so everything seems to be good there, doesn't it?
I've been running.
He's actually running quite regularly now.
I can run 5 kilometres without stopping. But it's all early days anyway, let's not trumpet it too much.
No, I think we should.
Change is difficult.
It's impressive, it's really impressive. Running is not something that went hand in hand with Stephen at all. He did
walking.
Or walking, or just moving, really. Yeah. So now he's out doing regular 5Ks and speed runs and all sorts of things. And in between, sometimes we're doing stretches and other bits and bobs as well. But now we're back in the van. At work we're in the van, but it was easier to do there. Now we're back on the road in the van. It's become very clear again how difficult that can be to keep your fitness levels active, trying to find running trails and also to try and find room outside to do some of the stretches, because I don't know about anyone else, but I don't really like doing it in a public car park in full view of people. So yeah, that's something we'll have to deal with as we go along. Yep. But other than that, not much has changed, does it?
I don't think so.
We're here.
It's been work, really.
I think that's it. We'll inform you if we remember anything vital, which is doubtful.
Aye.
So today is the 12th of September, and all of a sudden it feels like it's gone very autumnal with the weather. The temperatures have taken a sudden dive, which is quite a shock to the system. So that's going to take some getting used to, especially now we're back on the road. Now September is usually our favourite time of year to go exploring in the UK in the van, because usually the weather's still hot enough. The sun's still out to some degree, and all the kids have gone back to school, so it's a bit quieter. So it's an absolutely lovely time to go around exploring. So hopefully this sudden dip, because we've got jackets on and all sorts today, and not the shorts, which has been a while, hopefully that is temporary and we're going to have some nice weather. So on that note, we've decided to head west in the country, and we're going to go and explore somewhere that we've not really been to properly in the van before. I'm really sorry, I'm really struggling to get my words together here. This feels so unusual right now. I'm really struggling with this. Hope it'll all come together, it'll be all right. Stephen's giving me cue cards now because I don't know what I'm saying. Normally you have to kind of, you can't write down everything you're saying. A lot of it is just improvisation, isn't it? But I don't know, this is all just going a bit wrong today. We're just warming up, okay? That's what's happening. So we are going to go and explore Wales over the next couple of weeks, we hope. But right now we are in Gloucestershire, and we're in the little town of Cirencester. So we're in a little car park which we stayed in, which seemed all right, seemed quite safe, very nice. And we're going to park here for the day and go and explore the town. Now there's a few things we're going to learn about Cirencester as we go round, but we'll just tell you some of that later, because I think that's enough talking to start with, don't you? I can't do it anymore. I can't. Yeah. Let's just keep it shut and go.
Shut up now.
Yeah, let's just go and have a look at what is hopefully quite a pretty town, and we'll take you around with us.
Let's go.
Let's go. So talking earlier about we've spent weeks trying to be reasonably healthy, bit of exercise, half decent diet, no, pretty good diet overall, and then as soon as we're back out in the van again, we're faced with these temptations constantly. I mean, what the hell?
I want them all.
This looks amazing, and this one is grabbing our eye. Reuben croissant. Well, we resisted the bakery treats in the end. We've settled for a boring old apple.
A pink lady.
A pink lady, to be fair, it's a pink lady, but it wasn't one of those lovely croissant-looking things.
No. Maybe later, though. We can probably get one to eat.
Yeah.
Later. It's just a bit early to give up the ghost on that one.
It's just after what we were saying earlier, we've spent a few weeks, I mean, not the last week we haven't been so good, but for 6 weeks we were really good, no alcohol whatsoever, we had a pretty good diet that entire time. The last week we've kind of stuck to that with the diet and exercise. We've drunk alcohol in the last week, but other than that we've been really good, haven't we? So yeah, we're trying to kind of resist temptation a bit more. We're not going to say we're not going to do it again on the videos. You'll see us eating fish and chips next week probably, you know, it's going to happen. Yeah, maybe even later. But we're just gonna be a bit more restrained than we've been used to. Anyway, Cirencester though, this is bloody gorgeous here, isn't it? I'm still struggling to speak into the camera. This feels weird. I feel nervous doing this.
Behind the scenes, he's having a meltdown.
It's horrible. It doesn't feel natural. I'm sure we'll get back into the swing of things. But yeah, this is a beautiful little town. Very sleepy, but it seems like quite thriving, doesn't it?
Right.
Which is nice.
Nice to have a look around.
It is.
I think what is really interesting is that this is clearly quite a posh place. However, the house prices are the same as what they are down in southeast Kent.
Which is hilarious.
Which is mad.
Which is absolutely nuts, yeah. Well, we come back to the van, we've got a little bit of lunch. We're parked in the local Abbey car park. There is no Abbey there, it's kind of just ruins now, but we're in the car park, which has all been very nice. It's very close to the town. Steve's doing some kind of arm shoulder exercises because he's got a frozen shoulder or something, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's impinged.
Impinged? What's an impingement of the shoulder?
I think it's where the nerve gets trapped or something rubs on the fibres. I don't know, something along those lines. Anyway,
Okay.
It hurts and it's restricting my movement a bit, but that seems to help.
Well, luckily for you, we're going on about a 10-mile hike tomorrow, so that's going to solve everything, Steve.
Well, if it did, I'd have no problems, would I?
Well, why?
We've done that before.
We haven't done that for weeks.
I've still done one.
Ah, but we haven't done it for weeks. This is why you got a frozen shoulder.
No, it isn't.
I think maybe we need to extend the hike.
No, it isn't.
Might be.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think you're talking crap.
Well, I probably am. Usually am. I'm about to talk more crap.
No.
I know, shocking. So Cirencester, it's got quite big Roman roots, and interestingly enough, despite the fact you think it's a small town, Cirencester was, during the Roman era, when the Romans were settled in Britain, you know, about 2,000 years ago-ish, it was the second biggest town in Britain after what was known as Londinium, I think I'm saying that right, which of course was London. The second biggest town was Cirencester. And in Roman times, it had about 10,000 residents, which when you consider it's only got about 20,000 now, and the way the world is and the way how populated we are, that's astonishing, isn't it, Stephen? So it was very prosperous. And then later on, during the medieval era, it became prosperous again because of the Cotswold wool. So the wool from the sheep, which is known as being one of the finest wools in Europe, depending on who you ask, or it was at one point. It brought all sorts of cloth merchants and people to the town. So again, Cirencester thrived on that. There was an old saying, I believe, that I don't know what era it's from, but the finest wool in Europe is from England, and the finest wool in England is from the Cotswolds. I think Cotswolds wool is still famous, isn't it, Stephen?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like it is, but whether it's like considered the highest quality now in Europe, I do not know. Cirencester's Roman name, I think, is Corinium. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Now, is that Latin, Steve?
I think so,
Like,
yeah.
I know this sounds really unintelligent, but we both had to Google, like, what language did the Romans speak, and it's Latin, right?
Yeah, it's from the Roman Empire, isn't
So
it?
they-
From the Romans and Roman
Yeah,
Empire.
but the Romans, they spoke Latin, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is why then lots of Latin became English and yada, yada, yada. It's all blended in. Yeah.
Aye.
Anyway, apart from all the rather lovely medieval buildings that are dotted around Cirencester that hopefully you've seen some of now, there's a couple of other things to see here, and the sun's come out, so we're going to get out and have a look, and we're going to head to one of those things. Is a rather large estate with a public park that's attracted quite a lot of controversy recently. Dun, dun, dun. And we'll tell you more about that when we get there.
Alright, come on then, let's go.
Let's go. So where are we, Stevie?
We're in Cirencester Park.
Yeah, Cirencester Park. So that is part of the wider Bathurst estate. So right next to Cirencester town, you've got this big park, Cirencester Park, and the big estate, a big gigantic house called, I guess it's called Bathurst, is it? No, I don't know what the house is called. Anyway, so the park we're in, it's quite big, but you know, it's just a park. You have to pay £4 to come in now. £4 each. So I'm not sure that's going to be worth it for just wandering around what is essentially just a park. Now this park has been in the Bathurst family since 1695, and it has been in that same family right up until the present day when, oh god, I can't remember, but the Earl and Countess of something, 9th whatever, Bathurst, now live in the building, and they have lots of fingers in many pies around Cirencester and beyond. Now when it was bought in 1695, it was opened pretty quickly to become a free public park. So it was free to all citizens of Cirencester and everyone else to wander freely, as parks like this tend to be. However, fast forward to the present day, right up until last year or this year, very, very recent anyway, and the current Bathurst family members who live there have decided that they're going to charge £4 each per person for entry. The reasons for this, I'm not entirely sure, but they did sort of cite something as cost of living, which is a bit kind of...
I mean, you can understand, can't you? When you're a millionaire, the cost of living must be so difficult.
It's so difficult to upkeep your mansions these days. I mean,
You have to charge to keep up.
you've got to fleece the public to do it, Stephen.
To charge the little people.
You have to do it. So yeah, there's been lots of protests, lots of fuss in Cirencester about this park that's been free to walk around and use for all the residents for centuries, now being a paid for thing. I think local residents get it cheaper or something, I don't know. Right, well that went well, didn't it? We're back at the van.
Aye.
What happened there?
Well, I just got fed up of walking around, basically. We've been out for hours.
Which is
so-
fair enough, completely.
So I just thought, I've had enough of this, I'm going back to the van, so I decided to just sack it off really and come back.
And that wasn't that, but that was barely scraping the surface of the reason, was it really?
No,
It's
I
just
mean,
been one of those days.
Yeah, it's been one of those days. But me personally, I just wanted to sack it off and come back to the van. I had enough.
Oh yeah, so that went well. I'm just going to explain this very briefly as I can. So I've just been having a bad day. So personally, it's just nothing's come together, and we're out of practice with filming, so that made it even worse. Stephen was knackered walking around in the end. I got knackered in the end. That made both of us tetchy. Both of us didn't want to really do it. We weren't feeling enthusiastic. I wasn't feeling confident about anything. There were so many things, so many outside factors that aren't even to do with filming as well, that in the end we were just like, let's just stop filming. This is not happening. Stephen came back to the van. I carried on walking around the park for a little bit. Which didn't, whatever, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just walking in a circle really, and then I came back and that's it, we stopped filming. So let's move on, dust ourselves down. But before we do switch off completely tonight, and yes, I have changed my t-shirt because I'm going to go for a run in a minute. It clears the cobwebs, and mentally I absolutely swear by it, so I'm going to do that. Before we do, we didn't quite finish what we were saying about the park we were in earlier. Now, I'm sorry I haven't got much footage, but there wasn't a great deal to show. Even though it's big, it wasn't that interesting to film as such. So what we were saying is that park, you now have to pay £4 each to go in, and for centuries it has been completely free. It's been in the same family since 1695, and that park has been open to the public in Cirencester for all that time. And it's still the same family, but now in the last year it's £4 each to get in. Now this family, they are a very wealthy family obviously, and originally they made their money, or at least a lot of their fortune, from the slave trade, which is completely awful obviously. There's not much we can do about that now, it's the past. But what's happening is some people are bringing it up as a comparison that a family that used exploitation to make a fortune are now kind of exploiting in a very different way. I know charging £4 is not the same as slavery, by the way, I'm not saying that, but it's a different form of exploitation via the same family years later. Now, I don't see that the reasons look entirely justified. If you live in Cirencester or you've been here, what do you think? Do you think it's justified to charge £4 for the park? Do you think they really need to? Allegedly, this family is worth a hell of a lot of money, and they have fingers in many pies around here that brings them in a lot of annual income. So do they really need to charge £4 for this park that has been free for so long? So you can understand why there's been a lot of fuss over this, and it brings up so many points, which is why they bring up the whole original slave trade money thing, and the fact that so many families like this do own such a huge portion of the land in England and Wales and, you know, the UK in general, and makes it quite difficult for the public to access. You know, yeah, one of those things that was free for people to enjoy is now kind of taken away, and this is by a very wealthy family. I don't know their exact bank balance, obviously, but it doesn't seem entirely justified. Let us know in the comments if you know the area, if you disagree or what you think, but yeah, it doesn't seem great, and we both felt a bit uncomfortable having actually then paid to go in, and it wasn't, you know, it's whatever, it's big, but it wasn't that interesting. So that was another thing that made us switch off, because it was like, why have we just paid £4? Do we want to support this? What, so we can film it and prove what point? I don't know. So yeah.
Alright, so I'll just add on to that. Everything that Dan has just said is allegedly, in case the rich people try to
yeah, in case they want some more money.
So allegedly, the history's a bit scummy. Allegedly, they're doing something which really just benefits them and nobody else.
Yeah.
And allegedly, nobody really likes it. Allegedly.
Allegedly, we're now going to switch off.
And now we're finished.
Thank you for summing it up and making that very succinct. Is succinct the word? Is that a word?
Alleged.
It's a word. I know it's a word. But
Allegedly.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Allegedly. Bye. Morning, Steve.
Morning.
The universe has turned upside down.
Yeah.
We are now filming Stephen coming back from a run.
So I did an interval run today.
How was that?
And my best effort was a mile in 10.5 minutes.
That's good.
So that's running at 6.5 kilometres an hour.
That's really good.
That's the best one so far.
Look at the effort. Look at the effort, though.
I know.
The sweat.
I quite enjoyed that, actually. But that was enough, though. That's my interval run done. No more till for another day or two.
Every couple of days, isn't it, pretty much, you're doing a run?
Every other day. The deal I've got with myself is that I have to do 2 a week. If I could just maintain 2 a week, because life's going to get in the way, isn't it?
Yeah, and location, where we're parked, all this stuff
saying,
is
all
really
those things
affecting
are
it
gonna get in the
already. But no, you're doing really well. Welcome to the world of running in a van, Steve.
Yeah, I've got to admit, the more I do it, the more I do like it. But again, like, I ain't trumpeting anything, because I'm one of these people that start off strong and then filter out very quickly. So.
But you're doing it, and you've done it, and you're doing it regularly, so that's, you know, who cares? That's the good thing.
I'm not going to feel like I'm there yet. It's a trap.
You're definitely getting there.
Aye.
Well done, Steve. Super fit Steve. we are heading off today. Feeling a lot better today, actually. Feeling very out of sorts the last couple of days. And I think it was just what we explained if it made the video about being out of practice with filming, but also because we went straight out traveling again from work and seeing some family, and then straight into filming at the same time rather than just having a couple of days to ourselves to adjust. It just made it 10 times harder. So feeling all right now, hopefully. What we're doing today, we're leaving Cirencester and we're heading further west, and we're going towards the Forest of Dean and the Wye Valley, and we're going to a place that we tried to go to. I can't remember when it was. I think it might have been last year, which we changed our minds on at the last minute because there was a storm coming in and it was super windy. I think the top was closed, so we couldn't do it anyway. So we're going to Cirencester. Now, it's probably maybe one of the most famous places in the Forest of Dean, if not the most famous. And it's a viewpoint that has, well, spectacular views over the Wye Valley in the Forest of Dean. So I've been there as a kid, but looking forward to doing that today. The only thing is, we do remember how awful it was trying to drive there. So hopefully we're going to go a way that isn't too painful on both Stephen, both Daisy, and all of that. So hopefully it'll be all right. And one thing we've noticed recently is the fact that all these, because you tend to notice these things when you're looking at maps, the areas that were previously known as outstanding areas of outstanding natural beauty, I don't know how long they've been known as that, but it's been years, they are now called a national landscape. So we are going to the Wye Valley National Landscape. I tried to look up reasons as to why it had changed its name to National Landscape, and it all seems a bit vague to me and unnecessary. It's sort of changed for the change's sake. I really couldn't care less what name it is. I don't think Stephen could either, but it just seems like you kind of question, well, I bet that costs quite a lot of money actually to change the names of all these things for a reason that seems very wishy-washy when the original name still did a perfectly good job, right?
I think it's because they want to change the rules. So if they name it something different, the legislation applies differently. Possibly.
Stephen thinks it's something awful and nefarious as always, which it probably is, because I think it was under the Conservatives that happened, wasn't it? Before it switched to Labour. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of the reasons I read sounded nice and sounded like something that was a good thing, but it also sounded very vague, which made me not trust it either. So perhaps Stephen is right. So we've got to first, before we go to do this walk, we've got to get some LPG, we've got to do some food shopping and all that other crap. So we'll see you somewhere in the Wye Valley National Landscape. So we found a little filling place for our LPG in Gloucester, and it's a bit of an unusual one, isn't it, Steve? It's not a gas station like normal. It's kind of like a shop that sells Cala gas bottles. There's a pet shop and other things, so that's quite handy. All right, fast forward a couple of hours. That didn't quite go to plan. Cirencester is off the agenda. Just to sum it up, like, we tried to get our LPG, and it was late in the day anyway. Time was just running out, and this was quite a long walk. It was a good couple of hours, so you know, we wanted to do that by lunchtime at the latest. We tried to get our LPG in 3 places, and we think there's actually a problem with our fill up point. For some reason, what is it doing, Stephen? It's kind of just, it's going in, but then it's stopping, isn't it, on the meter?
It's only taking like, it only took about 20-30 p.
Yeah.
And then it stopped.
But it seems weird, doesn't it? So you kind of think, does that mean we're full up? We can't be full up because we've been at work for 6 weeks where we've used it. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know what we're going to do now. We tried adjusting the attachment that you have to use to it in order to attach the LPG nozzle. If anyone's ever used these, you know what it's like. You have to put a little attachment in usually if you've got one under your van, and then put the nozzle on, which is never easy. But usually we do it first time and then it's done. This time it's just not been going in. So I think we've got a problem. I don't know if we've got a blockage. The possibility that we actually are full up just seems highly unlikely because we've used it for weeks now. I don't know what we're going to do. What are we going to do, Steve?
We're going to let it run out.
We're going to let it run out. Okay.
And then we're going to try and fill it up.
Yeah. Yes, so we're going to let it run down. Both of us, there's usually a smell when it gets really low LPG, and neither of us have noticed that. So I don't know, it's just so odd. But it seems odd that we've gone to 3 different ones. They've taken a little bit and stopped. And the second one we went to, the gas was actually leaking very visibly on the outside. So, you know, surely on all three we can't have been doing it wrong, not attaching it right. Maybe there's a loose connection somewhere. We've tried to have a look, we can't see. We tried screwing in the screws that attach the pipe properly, because they seemed like they might have been a bit loose, but other than that we can't see anything. So let's just let it run out and see what happens. So in the meantime, we've stopped in Morrison's. That's our second supermarket, because the first one in Aldi didn't have everything we needed. So we're making some lunch. What we got, Stephen?
I'm having a tuna wrap with mustard and pickles.
Tuna wrap with mustard and pickles. I think you've seen that quite a lot on these videos now, but they're good. So it's not been the best day. Stephen's shoulder's still hurting, so that's another thing we're dealing with at the moment. You've kind of got like a frozen shoulder, is it? It's kind of aching.
Impinged.
Impinged.
Something's trapped somewhere, and it's causing pain and affecting the range of movement, which is really starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah, so and after all this, and it's understandable, like the walk itself wasn't going to be a particularly easy one, so we kind of thought, let's just leave it. By this time of day,
done our food shopping.
We hadn't done anything, we needed petrol as well, and we're just going to settle down and find somewhere. So whatever's in this video is whatever I'm filming now. I don't know. Well, there is something else to discuss. Since you can now see, you might have noticed a couple of changes. They are a work in progress, and they are very much a kind of temporary measure, but we got these stickers off Amazon. A few of you guys suggested things like this for the kitchen. We haven't completely finished it. We need to do that side, hence you'll see some of the what do you call that stuff, Steve? It's been ripped off, the vinyl type covering, that stuff, whatever it is.
I don't know.
So yeah, we're going to finish that off. I think it looks quite pretty, all very random. Stephen wants to eat, so I'm going to move, stop the camera, and we'll carry on and see you wherever we are later on.
Move.
All right, bye. Oh, today is just not it, is it, Stephen?
No.
It is just not it. So we decided to drive to Monmouth, which is a very nice little town. We've been here before. Then we got stuck in traffic, and then we came down this little road to a park up we've been to before, but we just got stuck. There was no room to move either side. There were no passing places, so Stephen had to kind of reverse for absolutely ages. Meanwhile, there's these cars and vans in front of us, there's people behind us. We've stayed here before about 2 years ago, and we never had that problem, did we? Because if we did, we would have avoided it straight away.
We got it when it was dark.
Yeah, it was late, and I think it was winter possibly, so maybe it made a difference, but that was a bit of a nightmare. Anyway, we got to the end in the end, so we're parked up. Stephen's tired, nothing's happening today, so I'm just filming random crap. But what does need to happen is we do need to empty our wee bottles, and obviously we need to find somewhere responsible to do that. And quite often when it's just wee, I'm sorry, I know if this might sound disgusting, but this is what we have to do sometimes. So I'm going to go and find a toilet somewhere to do that, which is half an hour walk from where we are.
I should put the bed up.
Steve's going to put the bed up, and if that car moves, we're going to move over there.
The branch is far too low.
Oh, okay, so we're just going to stay here. Just put the bed up, make us a couple of drinks, and I'll be back in an hour.
Alright.
I'll see you later.
Alright then.
So yes, lovely viewers, I am off to empty our wee in town. Yeah, but at least it's a pretty walk, you know, as I carry the urine on my back in here. Only when you live in a van. I mean, this is the sort of thing that you could be like, what the hell am I doing with my life? You know, one of those moments. But in some ways it's so normal to us now that you don't even think about it too much. And you know what? We're parked somewhere really pretty. We're by the River Wye, walking through some woods in the sort of Forest of Dean area, kind of. The sun's out. It's kind of streaming through the trees. It's warm enough, a little bit of a chill now, but you know, not too bad. Yeah, it's all right. And since we didn't go on a walk today, I'm actually more than happy to have an evening stroll along this road. I'm not going to film it because it is just a road, but it's quite pleasant. And I don't know what it is, but it feels like this is the first time in a few days it feels like this massive weight is lifted off of me. Not that I feel burdened with anything, but it's just, you know, you have a few bad days mentally and otherwise, and right now it just feels like all of that is just lifting away. And maybe it's just being out in the fresh air, walking. That has just taken everything away in a second, which is great. despite what my actual task is. It's just great to be outside, and I feel so much better now. But anyway, enough of that. We'll see you back at the van. Morning, Stephanie. How you feeling?
What?
Are you ready for your amazing hike? Come on, you're fit and ready now. You go running. You can't complain at these things. This will be a breeze.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, that's as close to enthusiasm as we're going to get.
It's about as close as I do get. Better get up then, put the bed up.
Yeah, so we're probably just going to get the bed set up, get everything done, get some lunch packed up to take with us, some wraps, some tuna gherkin specialities, I expect. And we're going to do our walk along the River Wye, not to Simmons Yat, but somewhere close to it, and possibly up to King Arthur's Cave. We're not 100% sure yet. So that should be nice. The sun's shining, everything looks good. So we can finally start a little adventure day. Should be nice.
Yep.
Regarding our LPG, I don't even know what's made the video, so it's not been filling up. If it didn't make the video, that's what we've been having the last few days. We haven't been able to fill it up at 3 different pumps. However, we have read different things on this, some of it of which is beyond us, some of it makes us think that it is possibly the pumps, and sometimes these things happen. So as Stephen said, we're going to just let the gas run down till empty to really find out for sure. But it might be that we have to try different pumps, because I have to say, Stephen, a lot of those pumps, they look different every time, don't they? There's always a slight difference, and then there can be differences in pressure in terms of how the gas goes in. That's about as technical as it's going to get from me, I'm afraid. But I do know that it seems like they're not all equal. So it might just be that we just have to move on to a pump that we're familiar with, and it'll all fill up and be fine again. But in the meantime, we're just going to ignore it and go for a walk, aren't we? That seems sensible.
Yep.
Let's drink coffee and forget this is happening. Okay, so we've climbed up to the site of King Arthur's Caves. They're very small caves, they're not like overly impressive, but it's still quite nice to see those things in the landscape. There's no connection that we know of to King Arthur. I don't know why they're called that. It seems very, very vague and loose, any information you can find. One thing that does seem to be attached to it, and I'm not really great with this kind of history, but somebody called King Vortigern, I think it was. I don't know how you say that. I think it was in the 5th century, kind of just after the Romans had left, kind of pre-Dark Ages, if you like, something around that era. He was said to have come to these caves and I think maybe fortified them in some way or used them. But again, there is no real evidence of this, and much like many of those characters from that time, there's not much history or information on them anyway. I mean, he could be called Beryl for all we know. You know, we just haven't got a clue. But what's interesting is this Vortigern. He was the king. I know I'm probably saying that wrong. He was supposed to have been a king that I possibly ruled all of Britain at the time. I'm not sure. And I think some of the very vague information out there is that he kind of invited the Anglo-Saxons over to kind of come in and help defend the country, but that all kind of pretty obviously backfired. So that didn't quite work out. So there's a few stories around him about that, and there is supposed to be some kind of King Arthur connection, but again, I can't find any clear-cut information on that. And this Vortigern character, I believe they've put him in certain King Arthur related films recently, and I don't know why, because again, there's not enough information to go on. So one interesting thing I read was that they've used this Vortigern, or however you say it, king, in the King Arthur films, because he's kind of like a faceless character from history that has not, you know, that they could use and put their own personality on and say that he did various things. So somehow, somewhere along the lines, there's a King Arthur connection, even though most of it is probably made up.
Aye.
Did that get to any point?
Yeah.
I think it did. Probably because there's not much of a point to make.
No.
Anyway, this is nice. We've sat here, we've had some lunch. It's all peaceful now. There's been a few people looking at the caves, and yeah, this is lovely, isn't it, Steve? This September afternoon, we've got our shorts and t-shirts on, everything feels good.
Aye.
And now we walk back to the van.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound so excited.
Well, I just think everything feels good, and then we go back to the van and find we've been robbed.
Yeah, there is that worry. We were a bit uncertain leaving the van where we did, because it was down a very remote path, but hopefully everything's going to be fine. We're just going to worry about that now.
Anyway, come on, let's crack on and get back.
Because we've got to move as well and find a new place to stay.
We need some food shopping.
We do.
We need some rum.
We need some rum. All the essentials.
Yep. Come on then, let's go.
So we're about to cross the little bridge again, the rope bridge, over the River Wye, which separates England and Wales. What side are we on, Steve? We're in England now, and we're about to cross over to go back into Wales. So this bridge, even though it seems quite safe and sturdy, it only recommends 6 people at a time on it, doesn't it? Which is slightly worrying, because that's not that many. So we're going to wait until these people come off rather than risk it. And now we've got a short walk back to the van and hope we haven't been robbed, or the van hasn't been robbed, or it's all in one piece. And you get that funny feeling in your stomach every time. And I feel like we've had a good afternoon, haven't we? It feels nice. So it can only be ruined.
Exactly.
We've got to find somewhere to park for tonight, yeah? And she's all here. The relief. Our girl's still standing, still waiting. Good evening.
Evening.
So we settled down now. We left wherever we just was. I can't even remember now. Where the hell was that?
Abergavenny.
No, that's where we are now.
Oh.
Now, where did we just drive from?
Wye Valley.
The Wye Valley, that area. But where were we parked?
In the Wye Valley.
Oh, near Monmouth, that was it. Yeah, so we've left there and we've just come down the road. And the plan was, I don't know if we've even said it on this video, but I don't think we've fully committed to it because we weren't sure it was going to happen. And we've been thwarted a couple of times in the past, haven't we?
Aye.
So it seems like now we've headed into South Wales, and so far so good. It seems like this time we're actually going to get a chance to explore a bit of Wales properly, because we've only ever dipped in and out in videos. We've never done a full set of videos here and properly explored. So
no, we've always been pulled away by the universe.
yes, different things have been set against us. So now we are here and we're going to come to a national park. We're just on the edge of it that we have never explored before. We've never set foot in. I don't think either of us have we? So we're just in a little town called Abergavenny, and we're just on the edge of the Brecon Beacons National Park. Except, of course, that was its name originally. No, not originally. Hang on a minute.
That was the English name.
That was the English name, and it's now known, quite rightly, by its Welsh name, which is Banau Brycheiniog. Is that right?
I think so.
Banau Brycheiniog. Something like that. So that's a national park we're hoping to explore over the next few days, if not a couple of weeks. And we'll see what it's got to offer. Hopefully go on some walks, do some lovely things.
Aye.
We're all settled up down in the van. We've got dinner on. Everything's good. Well, dinner's cooked. It's just ready to have.
Aye.
We've got a rum on the go, which is very nice.
We're all set tomorrow. We've got somewhere to go running tomorrow.
Yeah, we're right by a running track, which used to be an old tramway or something like that, where they used, because this used to be
flat.
quite an industrial area for mining and iron and stuff like that, coal. So Wales is very known for that. So yeah, lots of little tracks like that, which is fantastic. Kind of rambling, so I'm just going to let you in the video.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. Whichever week it got to you, because I think we've just skipped a week.
Yeah.
So please push your like button. Very important to push your like button. Subscribe if you enjoy our videos, and the notification bell thingy if you want to be notified when we put out another video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. I'm sorry if this video's been a bit disjointed. I think I say that a lot though, don't I? So really, who cares now? Okay.
Exactly. Right, that's it.
It is what it is.
Rum time.
Yeah, rum time, and we will see you on the next video, hopefully somewhere in this national park.
Bye.
Bye.